Hey guys, how are we doing today? VaulSC here. What we're going to be looking at in today's video isn't going to be a full-on, bat rep with all of the details in there. What's happening here is that I played a game against a friend recently who's just getting into infiNity. His name's Matt. He's just collected a little bit of a Caledonian sort of starter force at the moment, so we're playing at just 250 points, not the normal 300. This is a guy who has actually been on my YouTube channel a number of times before, but for War Machine, so he's just getting into it. So this is a bit more of it's not so much a demo game, but very sort of early learning game with infiNity, so it wasn't the normal sort of, gameplay that you expect. So the reason why I thought I'd just cover it is it just gives me the chance to go over a few talking points about OSS, the faction I'm starting at the moment, and his Caledonia. I've recently bought a bunch of new OSS models, which I'm painting up, really enjoying that. And I just thought I'd just share, a few picks with you as usual, without going to the normal depth of exactly the army list and the dice calculator and the play-by-plays. So yeah, come with me as we just run through the little gallery. So we've got here a Dazu being hidden deployed up the field. This game is, and of course the post-human as well. In fact, why don't I just get the cam out of the way? That might help. So this game is OSS versus Caledonia, Capture and Protect. I'm really enjoying building OSS lists. I don't have much new to add from the last time I did a faction sectorial of them, but once I start playing some, full-on games with my entire collection, I'm going to be spending a lot of time talking about the Dakini Link team again, and also some of these interesting Haris teams I've come up with involving the Asura. I know, it's the Asura. Yep, I'm finding a use for a Yadu Trooper and the Rudras Gunbot, and combination of those guys plus Divas. So we'll talk about that a bit more in future. But for now, we've got the post-human sniper in there and deployed, hidden deployed as well. Post-human sniper is a model that I really prefer to have way at the back of the deployment zone, because you need the range band. You want to have +3 to hit, and you want to try and be outside of their HMG range bands if possible. But sometimes, if you have a really good spot set up and you can stall your opponent, infiltrating it further out the field is better. Also, sometimes you can do a lot of damage in the active turn with a sniper rifle, even though it's only burst 2. And with a post-human, you've got that additional wound with NWI half the time. TO camo, you can just really wreck shit if you deploy it further up. Anyway, this is a capture protect game, and I'm going second, so he's hidden deployed here. So I've managed to get some of the cold front Dakinis up and running. Well, we'll take a closer look at them right here. Really enjoying painting these models. I mean, CB are just getting better and better at the sculpts, and what I'm going for here is a very sort of a lilac-y sort of color. You can see my last attempt at Dakini in the background. This is the old school model, and it's just a very lilac. I think I've got the G-Dub paint over here. It's called Demonette Hide from Citadel, which is what I use for the base, and then I just highlight it up with white, and then I, of course, use the non-metallic metal gray for a lot of the stuff, but then I splash in a little bit of metallic stuff, like in these little joints anyway. So that's that. The Shukra Consultant, of course, just such a really good choice for OSS now that he's out. I think that in any list where I've got multiple battle groups, you'd want the Strategos level 1 guy. I think he's really, really good for that additional order, but obviously the counterintelligence as well. And Aleph actually have some really cool options for, that punishing Alpha Strike on the first turn, whether it's a Garuda or a Link team rushing up the board with 6-4 speed for the Dakinis can be really, really powerful. So my opponent is new. He's got the Caledonian starter set. He's got a few extra peripheral models. He's running a Cataran and an SAS Trooper, and obviously a Cameronian, as you can see here. So that's what he's setting up on the board. Just, I mean, by, gamer averages, I think he's actually kind of, been quick at painting his models. A lot of people don't really even have half their stuff painted at this point in time, but he has, so that's props to him. Moving out with the Cameronian, gets stung by the post-human straight away, but the Cameronian does manage to win the shootout there. I've decided to reveal it because he doesn't have any MSV2 whatsoever, and the best he can do is shoot with a grey rifle, and shooting with a grey rifle is actually a little bit risky because it's 5 dice on 10s versus 1 dice on 13, and the post-human can actually take a wound and drop back behind cover, so it poses a risk for the grey rifle, so to speak. But you've got the smoke template here, so he doesn't move it does indeed keep the Cameronian alive and moves the grey rifle around to engage. Also, he's taken on my my post-human Mark IV with heavy rocket launcher. Really always have been a fan of this guy. I really enjoyed painting him. I've got a nice close-up of him, as you can see here. This guy is he's the guy to take if you've got a lot of SWC spare. His actual points is just ridiculously dirt cheap, but the SWCs isn't. So long as you can afford the SWCs, he's a really good roadblock. He can be used in the active turn, and with his armor plus cover, 2 wounds next to the Sophotect, he can just cause so much trouble in terms of your opponent spending orders to get past that roadblock. So we've got a shootout again between the post-human sniper and the grey rifle. Post-human sniper actually inflicts a wound, which is devastating, because even with Doggett, he's going to lose his link team spearheading hero at the end of the turn. I also decided to reveal the Dazyu against the Cameronian as it came towards the middle of the table for the same sort of reason. He's got nothing that can really shoot at long range. The Dazyu's got 2 wounds, is pretty good at dodging, and can actually slow down the Cameronian enough that he can end the turn without having even killed the Dazyu, and he hasn't actually attacked my back line, which is the plan. He also had a go at taking on the Dazyu with Uxie McNeil, but only inflicted a single wound, even with a boarding shotgun. And then moving out with the rest of his troops. Over here, I'm able to bring in my Dakini with HMG. I've recently been giving the Aspara Cyber Dancer, or whatever she's called, a second thought. So in a future video, I might just talk about this, the Aspara a bit more. When the sectorial first came out and I looked at that profile, I thought, damn, that's a crappy profile. And in this list we're looking at right now, I don't have it. But I've been thinking more about it, and when you consider a situation where you've got an ARO with like a Dakini sniper and a link team in the first turn before you have a chance to put up assisted fire, +2 ballistic skill can be really, really useful. Also, if you're making a really ballsy attack run, having +2 ballistic skill is better than ignoring cover and having shock if you're actually shooting at a target that isn't NWI and doesn't have cover in the first place because you've advanced so far. So there are actually some really genuine applications for it, and that's made me think a bit more about including this bar. Anyway, moving on. So the link team just rushes out to the middle of the table, trying to line up this shot between the HMG and the Cameronian, but unfortunately I don't quite get the hits needed to wreck this guy. But the plan was just to get rid of him. Otherwise, he's going to be sitting at the table right next to the end point of the link team. So that wouldn't do. We have got a combi rifle guy with assisted fire. I know it says E-reaction, but I'm just using that as a stand-in for assisted fire, and it does manage to remove Uxia. And another Dakini over here able to rip up this volunteer with his combi rifle. So ending the turn right around here. Somehow I've managed to lose my Dakini, maybe from some stray error, I can't quite remember. He's beginning his turn by taking on the post-Jimin, who's in NWI mode, managed to stand back up again, I think does remove him. And then we had this beautiful moment where the Cameronian comes in. Cameronian's trying to rip up the link team with two chain rifle shots. So one in this direction and one in this direction. He does inflict a wound on the, what do you call this guy? The Diva. But these remaining troops, he can't actually see the Dazyu. Actually, no, he might have, but I might have dodged. But there was a nanopulsar back from the Diva and a nanopulsar back from the CSU. This is actually a CSU, by the way. So the Cameronian's actually having to take 4 BTS saves, even though he has no positive BTS. So that was a great way of countering the Cameronian in this spot. We had a Cataran, I think, fighting against something or other. Maybe the post-human, can't quite remember. But Cataran was doing pretty well at this point in the game. This was another funny moment where I had positioned my my HMG in a way that his line of sight was abused by this volunteer coming up and around. And this volunteer, even though he's just the cheapest model ever, gets quite a lot of damage done. SAS moving around to my side of the table. One of the reasons why I'm not really going into a lot of detail with this report is it's just sort of a learning experience for a newer player. He was trying to take on the post-Jimin heavy rocket launcher at long range with just a rifle. So as you can imagine, his range bands and dice needle were terrible, whereas the rocket launcher hitting on basically a 13. So eventually this did go bad for him, and he did lose the SAS trooper. And then in my final turn, well, not my final turn, I'm turning the Dazyu back into a camo marker, moving it around here, and then breaking it back out of camo to attack the Cataran. And the great thing about the Dazyu, and I think one of the undervalued things about infiltrating TO camo sometimes, is you can attack some targets and give them a a modifier where it's -3 for cover, -3 for surprise shot, -6 for Teo Camo, and they just can't hit you at all, which is the best spot to be in infiNity, where you just absolutely force a dodge. So that was great, managed to get rid of him, and, well, after several orders, I did actually whiff a few shots, and then moved over here to take on the Volunteer, which was in the back line of my link team, but didn't quite kill it. So unfortunately, that moves around, fires a chain rifle at even more troopers here, manages to take out the Diva at some point. He's got a another grey rifle, but unfortunately this one doesn't have a HMG, it just has a rifle, so this unfortunately does not do that well against the Diva. And yeah, we've still got a Volunteer in the back line. Volunteer able to move over and fire at the CSU, just causing so much damage. The thing about infiNity is that any model can kill any other model, so it doesn't matter whether it's, you know, a Volunteer versus a Sphinx or an Avatar. There's always a chance, not a very good chance, but that chance is increased so much if you're able to come and shoot in the back arc and get some normal rolls. So he's just hanging out here to try and secure the HVT because it's capture and protect. He hasn't managed to get over to the beacon, which allows me to activate and do some coordinated orders, moving my Shukra Consultant up, moving these Sophatect up, moving the robot up over here, firing at the Volunteer and removing him. And then everybody else is just running with coordinated orders towards the objective in the final turn. The Shukra is able to get in range of the enemy HVT to control it, but the Sophatect is not able to get in range of the beacon, so I wasn't able to get that massive point swing. So yeah, that would have been cool, but it didn't happen. It's a very, very slight minor win to Aleph, but I thought I'd just share some photos with you guys, have a talk about, you know, what I've been doing lately. I've been painting a lot of Aleph miniatures, looking forward to playing some OSS games. I've got some really sick OSS lists, and hopefully our opponent Matt here, who plays Caledonia, will show up for a lot more games. He's planning on doing that, so although we've lost a couple of players from our meta recently, hopefully he'll fill some boots and come and play with us a bit more so we can have some Caledonian action. Looking forward to that. Alright guys, well, thanks for watching, and I'll be back with you soon.